Welcome back to Code Makes Sense, where we make sense of the thoughts and habits that keep you stuck so you can heal and actually like yourself again. Today, we're talking about something real, important, and deeply human. Recently, rapper Gucci Mane and his wife, Keisha Kayor, opened up on a Breakfast Club interview in a major way about his struggle with mental health issues, including his episodes of what he described as bipolar and psychotic symptoms. That kind of openness is super powerful. In this video, we're going to break down what these disorders actually are and how common they are, at what age they tend to show up, and how friends, family, and loved ones can best show up to support someone living with these conditions. If your story or the story of someone you care about resonates with this, stick around and let's dive in. Keep it respectful and informative, and hopefully build understanding and hope. Okay, so the disorder known as schizophrenia is a very serious mental illness in which people experience disturbances in their thinking, perception, emotions, and behaviors. According to the World Health Organization, it affects approximately 24 million people worldwide. That's about 1 in 300 globally. Key features of schizophrenia include things like hallucinations, and that's when you hear or see things that other people don't, delusions, which are fixed false beliefs, disorganized speech or thinking, and negative symptoms, which is reduced emotional expression or lack of motivation for things that you want to have motivation for. Importantly, it's not a character flaw or a weakness. It's a medical condition involving brain chemistry, genes, environment, and some more. The onset tends to occur in late adolescence or early adulthood, and men often show signs slightly earlier than women. Bipolar disorder, which is sometimes called manic depressive illness, involves very significant mood swings, episodes of mania or hypomania, which is when you're elevated or you have an irritable mood, overactivity, high energy, and risk taking, and episodes of depression, which is when they're very low mood and low energy and they have a loss of interest. So they can either be down or up. According to the World Health Organization fact sheet, about 37 million people live with bipolar disorder. It's also not a mood swing you can just snap out of. It typically requires ongoing treatment, support, and self-management. Although it is very different from schizophrenia, the two can sometimes overlap with their psychotic features. So having one or both diagnoses can be a little complicated. Sometimes people will experience bipolar type mood episodes and psychotic symptoms, but this doesn't automatically mean schizophrenia and bipolar. But there is like a diagnostic complexity when it comes to it. For example, there are diagnoses like schizoaffective disorder, which does entail, both type symptoms. The important takeaway here is if someone describes both bipolar type and schizophrenia type features, then they really need to go ahead and consider being evaluated by a professional so that they can get the treatment and support that they need. So early adulthood is a key time for most people. That's when you finish in school, you starting to get your first full-time job, you're building relationships, and disruptions then can have huge, big ripple effects in your life moving forward. Recognizing early warning signs means that we may intervene earlier, support better, and improve the outcomes. For a public figure like Gucci Mane to speak out now, especially if they've had public episodes, which we all know the famous incident of him tattooing the ice cream on his face, it can help reduce the stigma and encourage younger people to seek help because he's not the only one. He's not. Listen, when someone you love, whether it's a partner, a family member, a friend, is diagnosed with schizophrenia or bipolar disorder, your support can make a real difference. It doesn't mean you have to fix things, but you can show up in meaningful, sustainable ways, like this. First, educate yourself. Learn about the condition that your loved one is facing. Understanding what they're going through helps you respond with empathy rather than being fearful or not understanding. For example, for schizophrenia, some of the things that you can do is helping them get treatment, learning about relapse warning signs, and being patient. And for bipolar, noticing when their mood shifts, helping to maintain routines, and supporting their treatment. When it comes to supporting their treatment and their routine, most of the best outcomes come when treatment, which can be medication, therapy, or just lifestyle changes. But when all that stuff is consistent, you can encourage them attending their appointments, taking their medications as prescribed, and maintaining a stable routine, such as making sure they sleep, making sure they eat, making sure they exercise, which is very important for bipolar disorder. Another thing you can do is listen with empathy. Sometimes the biggest thing is just being present. For example, when someone with schizophrenia hears voices, you don't have to argue the voice away, but you can say, I can't hear the voice, but I know it feels real, and it must be frightening. That kind of validation really helps. Another thing you can do is have a plan for crises or when they relapse. Like, be prepared, especially with serious mental health issues. Knowing ahead of time what to do if things escalate is very wise. For bipolar, have a plan for manic or depressive episodes. And for schizophrenia, know the signs of when they're relapsing, whether they're showing symptoms of withdrawal or increasing their suspicion, they having worsening hallucinations, and contact their mental health professionals early. Another thing that you can do is balance your support and boundaries. It's important that you don't burn out. You're not the sole primary clinician. So setting healthy boundaries, which means taking care of yourself and involving professional supports, is very, very important. So now we're going to jump into some more practical tips for loved ones. Number one is make a list of your loved ones' triggers, whether they start not sleeping, they start using different substances, or they just come across as very high stress. Another thing that you can do is help maintain or rebuild that structure in their life. So get them back on track with their sleep schedule. Make sure they're eating balanced meals. Make sure they're getting some activity in. These help both bipolar mood stability and schizophrenic symptom management. Also, during mood upswings in bipolar, stay calm, reduce their stimulation, and avoid arguments with them. Offer gentle activity rather than pushing them. During mood downswings, check in gently, help with simple tasks like food and getting out of bed, avoid pressure, and just offer your presence simply. If individuals are experiencing a psychotic episode in schizophrenia, don't confront the delusions aggressively. Validate the person's distress and encourage professional help. You just want to make sure they're safe. When it comes to encouraging social connections and meaningful activity, just be present for them. Gently encourage them to do the things that they enjoy doing. Because when they're isolated, it worsens the outcomes. Also, lastly, be part of their treatment system. Go to a family therapy session if that's available, or ask their clinician how you can support them best. That's the most simplest way to do it. Okay, so I know that was a bit different from some of my other videos, but I wanted to really inform the audience about this. So thank you so much for staying with me through this important conversation. If this video resonated with you, please consider hitting that like button, subscribing, or even sharing it with someone that you know so you don't miss future videos. If you're supporting someone with mental health challenges, know that you're doing something very, very meaningful, even if it doesn't feel like it in the moment. If you're living with one of these disorders, you're not defined by it. Help is real and life can continue. As always, the comments are open. Be respectful, please. If you feel comfortable, share your thoughts, share your story, your questions. Let's build community. If you're in a crisis or thinking about self-harm and suicide, please don't hesitate to call 911 if you live in the U.S. Or if you're somewhere else abroad, just reach out to your national emergency crisis line right now because you matter. Until next time, keep showing up for yourself because that's how real change happens.